Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Foran.
Alright, what's up everybody? It's Herschel Foran from High School Top 200. Welcome back to the Monday Morning Meeting podcast. If you're not familiar with this page, I'll do another little introduction. But first off, like and subscribe to the website. $5 subscription for the year. And it'll just $5 a month subscription. I'll give you everything that you need to know about first thing rugby that's happening across the country week to week, and I do write-ups and rankings. You'll be seeing rankings on there from players and from schools and stuff like that. So it's $5 a month. I know how much coffees cost, so sacrifice a coffee, pay $5 a month for this. Support your son, your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your granddad. I don't know. Support whoever you want that's playing first team rugby. It really helps me out also to get around the country and also to do this every single day, because this is what I do. I do this every single day. So jump onto hstop200.com, subscribe, $5 a month, and keep up to date with first team rugby happening here in New Zealand. Also go to all my socials, go to my TikTok, hstop200, as well as my Instagram. Like and follow, comment, all that kind of stuff to get it in your algorithm, get it coming across. I'll try and put out more content. My daughters are helping me out, I'm paying them to do it. So if it looks like there's a lot of fairies and glitter and stars and that kind of stuff in your guys' clips and videos, that's my daughters. Blame them when we come to the game, but they're the ones that are helping me out with this. Follow, like and subscribe, and follow to all my socials, even on Facebook, High School Top 200 on Facebook. Like, comment, all that kind of stuff as well. I still continue to feel weird about saying all that kind of stuff, because this is what you have to do as someone that's on the internet a lot and that's on all social medias. But go into my Twitter, I'll go into my TikTok, as well as my Instagram and my Facebook, HS Top 200. Jump on, follow us. Send me some questions. Send me some questions that you guys might have, and I'll answer them on here. I'm going to start off with because there's been a lot of discussion around this under 18 thing, right? Under 18, and it's really really interesting how people understand what opportunities or lack of opportunities that idea what that idea is, and what it's going to do to our players and the system and stuff like that. If you're not familiar, New Zealand Rugby has now made an under 18 New Zealand team. They've made an under 18 New Zealand team because there are players that leave school at 17 or finish school when they're 17. They still have one more year of eligibility under the international under 18 rules, but because it's called a New Zealand secondary school team, high school players that have finished are not eligible for a high school team because they're not actually at high school. So what New Zealand Rugby has done is that they've put this New Zealand program together, where they still pick a New Zealand secondary school team. They also pick a New Zealand Barbarians team, a New Zealand a Māori under 18 team, and then there's another under 18 team rep team that is soon to be named. Those four teams go into a camp tournament scenario, and then they pick an under 18 team to go to Australia, and that's going to be mixed with schoolboys as well as guys that have finished school. And my argument for that was that I think that they've done it the wrong way. I think that my argument is that they should have done it with the Blues under 18s, Chiefs, Hurricanes, Crusaders, and Highlanders, picking those regional teams first, have them all in camps, then bring those those top teams, those 5 Super Rugby teams at under 18 level into a tournament. They all play each other like they used to do before, and then you can pick your under 18 team from that. And the reason why I say that is because if you're going to pick a New Zealand secondary school team, a New Zealand Barbarians team, and an under 18 Māori team, as well as this other one, if you've already been named to New Zealand's secondary school team, what if somebody else from those other teams who are still at school make it over somebody in the New Zealand secondary school team into the under 18 team, just based off that tournament? To me, that puts all these selectors in a bad position where they now have to, where they're going to be made wrong if their selection becomes wrong. It's like, because they would have been able to have the first pick of any secondary school player, and then they ended up choosing one that didn't even get picked for New Zealand team. That's where I feel like it's going to lead into. Is going to be a scenario like that, where there's going to be boys from the Māori teams there's going to be boys from all these other 3 teams that are all still at high school that don't make the New Zealand secondary school team, but because they played so well, then they're elevated up, all that kind of stuff. So that was my argument. I think they should have went with the 5 regional teams instead of having this 4 team. Pick your under 18 teams. Pick your under 18 New Zealand under 18 team. Then you could have picked a New Zealand secondary school team from that after everyone was picked for the under 18 team, and then a New Zealand Barbarians and under 18 Māori, and then that of all the players that weren't selected for that, and then make sure that that under 18 team is the top team. The only thing now is that because New Zealand secondary school team selection has over the years created so much power and favor just being selected to that team, it's now going to I feel like it's going to either diminish the New Zealand secondary school team selection, or it's the under 18 New Zealand team selection is not going to hold that much weight behind it because it's new, and everyone's just like, no, the standard is being a New Zealand secondary school player. So all those kind of things to me go into it. The other thing that came out of this is the argument was, and this is the argument that came out of it that I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about it before, and this guy in the comments was talking about the fact that it should go back to Club Rugby, and a few guys agreed with him, and then there were obviously other guys that were opposing to him. And I have this thing about Club Rugby, and senior Club Rugby to me is not better than first 15 rugby. And in most areas, and I'm talking most areas in New Zealand, if you get a first 15, the best first 15 from your area, or even 3 of them, playing against the men in your area, those high school kids can hold their own against you. And then they can hold their own against those Prem players for a few reasons, right? The first reason is that a lot of these boys are fit and energetic. They're also getting better coaching. They're also young and still learning. So when something is given to them, they don't have this experience to sort of fight and argue back, right? So they just do what they're told, and then it ends up working for them, and real submissive in that way. And they're just sponges, and they want to learn, and so they take on everything that a coach says. Now, when it comes to first 15 rugby, there are some first 15 teams in the country that will have warm-up games against Prem teams, or have like trainings against Prem teams and demolish them. I would take a first 15 like Hamilton boys, Hastings boys, Auckland Grammar, St. Kennigan's Kings, and I'll put those boys up against some of these Prem men's teams around the country. Only the best Prem teams around the country, like in places like Auckland, Waikato, or Auckland, Hamilton, Christchurch, a little bit of Wellington, but I know that the standard of Wellington Prems has slipped a bit, where I would put Wellington College and Silverstream up against a lot of those men's teams. And in all honesty, some of these boys teams are just fitter. They're just a lot fitter, a lot more active. They do this every single day, where men have jobs. Men have other responsibilities. They have to go to their 9 to 5 to then come back, and then their whole full commitment is not just on rugby, where these boys are just rugby. They just study, play rugby, study, play rugby. Girlfriend a little bit in between, depending on who the kid is. But most of these first 15 boys around the country can beat Prem teams. Now, this guy was arguing they need to take it back to Prems. Now, take the sport out of schools, and then put them all back into clubs. Now, just from reading the comments, he was insinuating that they're going to get taken better care of, and that the fact that like schools, poach from clubs and all that kind of stuff is like, yeah, okay, whatever. Instances depending on what it is. But my initial thought was that at a school, after under 13s, you go straight into school and everything is planned for you there. The school pays for pretty much everything. The school has facilities, has coaches there at the school, just free teachers having to, take on a sport, things like that. And everything is provided for them. You have, and like even the teachers and the coaches that are teachers know how to deal with these kids in a way that they should be dealt with in terms of their learning and their growth. I have a feeling that if you were to put kids back into a club mentality, and a club where a guy who's just an accountant or a plumber or a lawyer who's like just comes and coaches some naughty ass kids that, they're just like, at some point, some guys just like, I don't have to take this. I'm an accountant. I'm an architect. I can just walk off, and you bloody kids should just do it yourself. I don't care. Because every adult is the most precious thing to adults is their time. But when it's part of the school, you just have to do it. It's part of your pay. It's part of your commitment to that school. And that was like one area where I thought, if you have it in schools, these kids know Mr. whatever his name is, and Mr. whatever his name is, and coach this guy, and the PE teacher this guy, the music teacher this guy. Oh, he knows me at school. I see him every day. He's actually my teacher. I better shut my mouth and listen. I don't think that can happen in a club. Also, if you see the number of teams in some of these schools, like all these boys' high schools, see the number of players that they have, and you're putting it all back into club, I don't understand. I don't see who's going to be organizing this, and then getting everyone together, make sure everyone, all that kind of stuff, all the behind the scenes stuff. That's just a lot for them to take care of. And that's all volunteer. I don't know how many people are going to volunteer for that kind of stuff. I don't know how much managers you can get off volunteering. I don't know how many. I mean, look at like Hamilton boys, and I'll just take Hamilton boys here. How much what do they have? 5 first 15 teams, or 5 senior first 15 teams. I think they've got 4 or 5 under 16 teams. They got 5 under 15 teams. Something like that as well. Like, they've just got so many teams just at all these different levels. And that's just Hamilton boys. And then you take in St. Paul's into consideration. You take in St. Peter's and St. John's. Then you got the other schools like over that are here, like Fraser and that. Like, they're not big time rugby schools, but they do have players. The other, and like, I was just like incorporating all of that into like Club Rugby, I don't think that they have the resources for that. I don't think they have the grounds for that. I don't think they have the management for that. I don't think they have coaches for that. The other thing I was thinking of was that like this, and like one of the guys was talking about poaching. I was thinking it's going to be worse if they went to clubs. Like it'll be worse if you went to clubs. The poaching will be so bad. You can build a super team the next year. Or you would have to make new regulations, laws and regulations for your new clubs. Because if I did what I did right now and I go, cool, Hotapu, how about you guys hire me and I'll just go out and find you a super team. I'll recruit all these guys, you know. I'll make sure Ollie's in there. I'll go up to Auckland and I'll go and get Ciale. From St. Ken's, I'll go and get Jacob, and I'll bring them all down here to all these private schools. I'll put them in these private schools, and then I'll just put them into the clubs, and then I'll make sure, well, you guys at Hotapu, if you guys got the money, we can get them in here, get them all to these schools, put them all in school, and they can come play for your club. I'll go over there and get Nikolai from Tauranga Boys. I mean, like, look at the payments that you can actually do. Like, you could even just pay parents. You wouldn't even have to look at it through like paying like their school fees or scholarships. You can just do it money in the hand. Like, who's going to regulate all that stuff? Who's going to make sure all that stuff's all right? Now, people may say, well, offering scholarships the same. It's like, no, because they're at your school. They're at school. They've got English third period on Wednesday. They're there. They're participating in school. If you just have them in club, you can just pay coach and just like, yeah, you don't have to go to school. I don't care about your school attendance. You know, I don't understand, and I don't see where all this kind of stuff is a benefit. Like, and talking about, I was like, you could poach players even better. It would be easier if it was in clubs. I would. If that was the case, I would. I would get paid by a club to poach for their club. Wouldn't that be easier? I wouldn't even care about their schoolwork. Because, like, why would you? You're a club. You're not a secondary school like institution. These kids that get scholarships, that are given scholarships by schools, these kids still have to go to school. They still have to do work. They still have to study. They still have to get their grades. Or else they don't get the scholarship, or they get kicked home. They get sent home. And then they go back to their old school they were trying to get out of. And now you got annoyed parents because the kid didn't want to work. But that's the punishment. If you just go to club, of course you'll be able to poach. And you have other means by doing it too. At some point you're going to have to go, especially if you get to the under 18 level. 100%, if you got to the under 18 level, the first 15 level, you would put some of those high school kids in your guys' prem teams. 100%. Ollie Gurin right now, and Ciale Pahulu, you know, Liam van der Hayden, you know, Alex Palazzo, Bronson, you know, van der Hayden as well. these guys will all play in your prims. They won't be under 18s. They won't be under 19s. They'll all be in your prims. That's why kids sometimes play NPC straight out of high school. That's why kids sometimes get development contracts for the Chiefs, for the Blues, straight out of high school. That's why kids that are under 18 can go over to New Zealand Sevens and make the New Zealand Sevens. Because the level of rugby in First 15 is so high. You still got 26-year-olds still trying to make NPC. And you're telling me that these kids are not better? You identify your talent out of high school. You identify who's good coming out of high school. It's easier to find them in high school. The program is better. Let's say that you got clubs, right? This is what happens. So I'm just going to take Hamilton. You're going to have if you're at Hotapu, you're going to be playing Fraser Tech. You're going to be playing Hamilton Old Boys. You're going to be playing Varsity. You play Marist. You play Te Aomori Sports. You'll play United. You'll play Morrinsville, and then that's it. That's it. That's all it is. Everyone's just here, right? If I'm Super 8, I'm Hamilton Boys. I'm going to Rotorua. I'm playing Tauranga Boys. I'm playing Palmy Boys. I'm playing, you're going up to Auckland and you're playing your traditions through Auckland Grammar. You get to travel here. You're playing guys from all over the country. You CNI. I'm playing for St. Peter's. I'm going down to Hastings to play Lindisfarne. I'm going down to Masterton to go and play Rathco. I'm going over to Whanganui to play Whanganui Collegiate. I'm going over to Francis Douglas. I'm going up to Auckland to play Wesley. I'm not just stuck here. I'm not in Karaka Rugby Club and just playing in counties. I'm not down in Hornby just at Hornby. I'm not just stuck there. Like, you get to travel when you're playing First 15 Rugby. You can play different players from different cities, all that kind of stuff. You don't get that stuff. That's all the stuff that you get from First 15. You don't get it from Club Rugby. You get a quad tournament. You get under 15 nationals. You get the under 16s Hurricanes, which is me competition too. You get the under 15 South Island one. You get the under 15 Hurricane tournament. You get an under 16 quad that happens here with Sacred Heart, St. Paul's Collegiate, and them. Like, there's so many things that you get with being with First 15 Rugby, being in high school rugby, that you would not get with club rugby. And then, if you want to go and do those, then what else do you have? Then you have insurance to pay, then you have all these things to, like, make sure kids get out of school, to go do overseas, to go do overnight camps, all that kind of stuff. You bring all these kids from different schools because they all play for one club. It just doesn't work the same. It doesn't work the same. And I think it's nostalgia. Nostalgia is what I have never seen a young kid jump on my platform at 22 years old and go, yeah, we should go back to club rugby. It's all old fellas that are doing this stuff. All old guys that are saying this stuff, because it's the nostalgia from when they were playing club rugby. I don't know if you didn't make it in First 15 or whatever. It's always old guys on here. Always saying, oh, we need to take it back to club rugby because those were the glory days. It's like, glory days, cut it out, bro. Go glory days on your phone and see how much technology and how much things are more advanced. First 15 rugby is too advanced. We have so many good coaches in First 15 rugby. We have all the new techniques given to First 15 coaches, and those solid coaches that we have in First 15 rugby give it to our players, and then they just teach them from there. So much more advanced. You get picked out of here. Show me the last time a New Zealand secondary school player that was under 18 that was going to school got picked into New Zealand secondary school. Because they don't play there. The players don't go to club rugby to make these teams. There's a reason why a kid goes from a small school to a big school. This is not about fun. Good players don't leave small schools to go to big schools just to play rugby and have fun. No, they looked at it and they go, I've got an opportunity. That's what they're playing for. It's not participation for some of these players. Sometimes I don't understand what some of you guys talk about and how you think is like, oh no, he's just there to play rugby. No, he's there because this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for that kid. That's why he left that small school, and now he's gone to that bigger school, and now his parents go, this is a great opportunity, and the boys go, this is a great opportunity. And the reason why that kid from that small school got taken from that school, got given an opportunity from that small school to go to a big school, because he's the one that does everything. He's the good rugby player. He's probably the one that's serious. And everyone else is just like, oh no, we just play for fun. And he's like, hey man, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Sometimes some of you guys think that this is just for participation of rugby, getting our rugby numbers up. No, it's not. All the boys that I talk to on a daily basis are training in the morning. They're putting in extra work on top of that, of what they do with First 15 Rugby. They want to know who the other good players are around the country. They want to know who they're going up against in their next game. Who are the other guys that they need to beat? What's the best way to impress the coach? How do I get looked at? How do I get seen? That kid wants opportunities. That kid is looking for something more than participation. Now, I don't understand, like, a lot of you guys out there that have the same question of, but school is education, blah, 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 whatever. I was just like, okay. And sports is now a proper career choice. It's a proper career choice. This is not just a Kiwi thing where you just say, oh, if I make it, I make it. No, some boys are training to make it. Rico Ioane trained to make it. Tupou Vahai trained to make it. Asofa Omoa trained so he could make it. They didn't just wake up and go, oh, we'll see what happens today. They woke up, went to the gym in the morning, lifted weights, went and did some study, went and did some, made sure they were eating right, doing all these things. I was like, no, because I want to make it. I need to make this. This is my dream. And because they went to Auckland Grammar, Wesley College, St. Pat's Silverstream, they went to best rugby schools so that they could get the best opportunity that they have to be in those positions to make these teams. Now you may say education is more important. It's like, not to them. Not to their talents that they have. Not to their dreams. Not to what their family needs. Who are you to say that rugby should be secondary to education for those guys? They saw rugby as their way out. Why can't they do that? Why can't they then make money, make business decisions based off what their first love was? They're making money off rugby now. How about they start making business moves on the money that they make from that? How is that wrong? And how is that wrong to tell? Why is it wrong to tell kids that you can go to school, go to the best rugby schools, still get the same education, These kids that get scholarships are going to classes. What makes you think going to a club is going to be any different? It's probably going to be more scrambled. They probably won't be more dedicated. At least at school, they're going to be watching. Hey, if you want to play this week, you better hand in your assignment, or I'm telling your coach. Or your coach is your teacher. Go, hey, hand in your assignment. Of course, these coaches that recruit these kids and give scholarships for these kids, it's like, of course they want to keep their job. Of course they make sure that these guys do their work. Or else they won't have a rugby program, or else they won't be the first 15 coach. For some reason, a lot of you guys think it's like, nah, they're just there to play rugby. They don't do anything else. They don't do anything else the whole day at school, and you think that they're just walking around teachers like, hey bro, Just sitting around, are you under the trees? It's a hot day, eh? It was like, bro, cut it out, man. What are you guys thinking? These kids go to class. I don't understand. It's weird the way some of you guys think out there. And to blame it on something like schoolboy rugby, where all the talent comes out of schoolboy rugby. Go find somebody, like find someone that recruits. Tell me how many games do they go to, or that how many times they look at club rugby for their players, next up and coming players. Do you know how many club rugby teams hit me up every single week and say, hey, do you guys have any, do you know any kids that are centres that are looking for a place to go? We've got a place down here at this university, we've got a place down here at this university. It's like, well, we got some spots here in this club rugby. Even club rugby teams come to me and ask me for players of boys who are finishing, so that the next year they can bring some kids. And I was like, that's the case, why would you have club rugby then? Why do you think club rugby is better? I don't get it. I really don't get it. If it's just nostalgia, say it's nostalgia. Don't try and make a point that's not even valid. Not even valid. Schoolboy level was so much better. So much better. More dedicated, these boys. Fitter, faster, stronger, more explosive. They just don't have the experience. Only thing you'll get is tougher men, because they're men. Men that have daytime jobs, that work as mechanics, that work as builders, that work as, lawyers and stuff. But they're men. They got men strength. And they've got experience from years. That's all they have over these high school kids. But guarantee every club team, when kids finish and they have a new year, they've got a bunch of first 15 guys that made rep teams for your under 18 Chiefs, Crusaders, and that. Some of them will all be starting in your guys' team, or some of them are 1 year removed from their starting in your club teams. And these older guys have to be pushed out. 100%. I don't know why I had to talk about this for so long. 30 minutes is too much to rant about this. But as you can tell, it pisses me off. Because the way that I hear it and the way that I read it from a lot of you guys is that you guys are looking down on these kids. Like they don't know anything better and that all they do is just play rugby and they're just useless and all they do is play rugby. That's the way some of you guys, it pisses me off, honestly. And you guys are speaking from a position where you don't really know about it. You think I don't see club rugby? You think I don't see where our boys go when they finish? Of course I notice where they go. Of course I know that. You get your under 18 team from your club rugby then. Go get Fraser Tech under 18 team and play boys high and see what happens. Those guys are boys high and Hamilton boys. They don't have to play for Hamilton boys if they don't want to. They could go to Fraser Tech and Hamilton Old Boys. But they want to stay at Hamilton boys. It's better. I don't understand where you guys are coming from. But it hurts me and it pisses me off when I hear some of you old fellas talking about club rugby and how it's like this, and I was like, man, cut it out. Cut it out with that nonsense. Honestly. It's so weird. I mean, I've been to 3 games, seen 5 games. I've got some games sent to me as well. 3 games, seen 7 games. And like even even St. John's, like when I was watching St. John's and Kelson, right? St. John's, their forward pack is just so strong. Young backline because everyone's gone, but that forward pack is just strong. Strong, physical, and Kelson just couldn't keep up. And I know Kelson's got a few boys that are still in league, and that's fine, but Kelson, they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to figure something else out. maybe it's going to be maybe it has to be a little bit of a rebuilding year for them. Maybe some position changes, things like that. But Kelston have to figure stuff out. St. John's look pretty strong. So, like, if you're playing against St. John's, just know that, you know, James and Harper and Brooklyn, Jaden, all those guys, they're all going to be there, and they're all strong players, and it's just hard to get around those fellas. And that forward pack struggle and fight is going to be pretty tough. Kelston obviously have this talent level and flair to them, but I think it was their foundation of setting just solid rucks, protecting the ball, things like that. You know, not really completing a proper ruck before sort of letting off. You know, like those kind of things. And those other kind of things are just experience things. Like sometimes, like guys look and then they counter ruck. They just don't count on that counter ruck. And the fight against the counter ruck, sometimes boys just give up. Once they feel themselves lift up, you know, a lot of things guys go in their head, like if they're getting lifted up, first thing they think of, like, oh shit, I better stop it. And if they can't, they go, oh crap, do I look like an idiot? Oh damn, my boys are going to mock me, and like, look at all the guys on the sideline, all that kind of stuff. Man, I got wasted. All that kind of stuff goes into these fellas' heads. So that counter ruck has to be like, you know, fought off and held properly for your halfback, and Kelston sometimes just weren't doing that. And that forward pack for St. John's, Hamilton, was just too strong. Kind of the same thing with like Rotorua boys. They were just too big and too physical for Sacred Heart. Even though Sacred Heart had some of the boys that they were trying, but you could just tell that Rotorua were just too strong, you know. Bronson and Jake Hunter, you know, Tiaraki, like all these guys. Cody and that, like Cody actually didn't really feature as much as I thought he would. But even then, like, even though he wasn't really having like a good game like he usually does, they were still dominating Sacred Heart, and they could have done a lot more as well. But then, you know, everyone was given a shot, and it's just a trial, it's just things like that. But I just noticed little spurts at a time what kind of to expect for this year. Even like with the Hastings and St. Kennigan's game yesterday, that same thing. Set pieces and stuff were a bit better from Hastings boys. The general play around the field, St. Ken's sort of had a both teams are really old teams. It's the first time St. Kennigan's have had a more year 13 dominated forward pack, because I've always had like really young players, but most of these guys have been in there for 3 years now. So they're just looking like an older pack. Hastings boys was the same, where they got a lot of older players and a lot of year 13 players, and the only problem is going to be next year when they have to sort of reload it again. You know, but I mean, I just think that like they drew 20, and it was kind of like it was honestly like a national top 4 kind of feel to the game. Because both teams weren't really letting up, even though there was still like a little bit of, you know, nervousness in them when they started the game, all that kind of stuff. You know, because it only took a minute for St. Kitts to score. And sort of like everyone woke up. They just woke up with different attitudes. St. Kennigan's were happy waking up, and Hastings were like, holy F, we got to, you know, get into this. They scored us, you know, they scored on us in a minute. But then, like, you know, just balanced out. But the intensity of the game was just massive, and how it just looked like it just had this feeling and look of a top 4 national final kind of game. And I'm glad that they took it serious. You know, I'm glad that both teams took it serious. And this is the 3rd year, I think, in a row, or 4th year in a row that these guys have played each other in the preseason down in Taupo, and it's such a solid matchup. I wish that they did this. It was like a proper yearly thing, a proper traditional thing. But who knows? It might end up that way. You know, it might end up that way as well. But I mean, like, there was a bunch of good guys, like, you know, JJ and Israel, and who was it? Reed played really good. You know, Tana, Tramp, yeah, like there's so many good players in there. Riley looked really good for St. Kitts, and Ciale was in the first 5. I don't know if he was supposed to be in there, but he was in there first 5. What's his name? Oh my gosh, it's slipping his name. Sam was good. Sam Jency was good. Oh man, I can't remember some of the other guys' names. Anyways, but yeah, it's looking good. I got to think about what games I'm going to this weekend, but yeah. I'm not sure what. I got to look up when the first competition game starts, and then that's when I'll start the rankings, and I'll put all the rankings up. I've almost finished it. I know that there's some more year 11, so if year 11, send me your name and your position, what school you go to. If you've made the first 15, let me know. Even some of you year 12s that I've been watching since year under 15 and second 15, because I know a lot of year 11s play second 15, so they get ready for first 15. I know you're now year 12. Send me if you made it, you're first 15, so I can watch you guys. A lot of guys I've been kind of looking at hard out, because now they've grown, they're just bigger over the summers and all looking a bit different, so I just got to get used to what everyone looks like again. But once I know when the first competition starts, like wherever it is, whether it's down in Otago or in Wellington, or it wouldn't be Wellington because they start a little bit later for maybe Christchurch. Miles Toyota Cup usually championship usually starts first. But I'll let everyone know when the rankings go up. As soon as I find out who the first competition is that starts, that's when that same week we'll start the rankings, and there'll be rankings for players. And obviously, just like every other year, alternate from year 11s one week to year 12s and year 13s and the top 200 on another week, as well as weekly changes from first 15 teams all over again. If you have a roster out, if you have a squad that's picked, send me the squad, send me the names of everybody and things like that, so I know who's still here and who's gone and who's back and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, thanks for listening to my rant. If you got any questions, please send me your questions. But that's it for High School Top 200 Monday morning meeting. Herschel for and later ball.